guys just do this so much. I do this as well, but
Yeah,
we do this so much to women, and they're just going. Have you seen that? I think it's an ad or it's a video, it's a clip with there's this guy talking to a woman on a couch, and you can't. They're kind of an angle, so you can't quite see. And then she's going out. I'm in this discomfort. I'm really sore and just I feel terrible right now, and I've just got this aching pain in my head. And he's looking at her and he's going, I think I know why. And she's like, no, you're not listening. You're not listening. Like, I've got to tell you about this pain in my head. And then the camera turns and she's got a nail in her head. And it's like it's a gimmicky thing.
Yeah,
but he's like, I'm pretty sure it's the nail.
Yeah.
There's a nail in your head. And she's like, you don't listen to me and whatever. And they just have this big blow up. And it's pretty funny because he goes, you're right. I just got to listen. And then lets her go that and goes, oh, let's go. And then they go to hug. And then he accidentally headbutts and nail goes. It's great. It's fantastic. You get it?
Yeah, I get
it's fantastic because what it's saying is that people just want they just want to be heard and they want to be listened. And some of us just jump straight to the solution.
Well, I heard this thing and it kind of hit me because especially with doing the podcast, there's a certain way you've got to talk to someone, and it was said, are you listening or are you just waiting to speak? And I know I'm guilty of sometimes just waiting to speak, and I'm obviously listening. It's not like I'm just ignoring the person, but I wasn't diving as deep into what they were saying. And I guess, like you said, it's like, are you not listening? And it's like, there's things that people give you to okay, that's something to look into, and look into that without having to, again, give advice or whatever you might need to give. Instead of that, you go, okay, let's just ask questions about where you're at to try and solve this without trying to put anything else on top of that. And I found that it's become more of a skill by doing this than anything else. And obviously it's just interacting with different people in different ways.
Definitely. And you see that a lot in social situations is someone saying a story and then the next person says, this happened to me, and they're waiting to go. And then, but how does that leave the person that just told the story? You haven't even participated in my story, acknowledged that you just jumped straight into yours. So that person's not feeling very fulfilled and connected, right? But it's this desire to share.
It's a hierarchy. It's like, I did something cool. I did something cooler. I made this much money. I made this much money. Like I guess that's the thing.
Well, I think it actually comes from a desire to assimilate, which is
and that as well.
A biological thing.
Yeah.
That you definitely want to feel a level of assimilation and connection, part of the group, belonging. You did that, I did this as well. So now we've got something in common. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Very rarely is it one-upping. Like, I know.
But I feel like in some regards, probably not close friends, but in like a more of an open social setting, I'm sure people would use that as like, oh, you did this, well, I did this kind of mentality. But I guess in more close friends, you want to feel more connected than anything. And that's something that I've had to deal with. If you said something that relates directly to a story that I've been in or something that I've done, my old me would have been like, oh yeah, and compared to that, not compared to it, but join in and be like, yeah, but then again, the story shifted off you now and it's put on me. I'm like, but this is your show. I want to dive into that more, and it's becoming better at it's like biting your tongue, even though I'm not saying it for any other reason that I can relate to you, which is kind of like, okay, we can relate back and forth, but in doing that, you could lose your train of thought. You're on thinking about my story now. It's just, and
I think firstly, like if we want people to like us, maybe that's where it's coming from. That likability, it needs to be acknowledged. That firstly, if you want someone to like you, you got to be likable, so you like them to start off with. Secondly, what do people love doing? They love talking about themselves. So don't interrupt them. Let them talk about themselves.
Let them go,
right? And then I think thirdly, there's really clear evidence, research that shows the more internally focused we are, the more correlated to despair and unhappiness. That's really interesting, right? The more we focus on ourselves and not other people and the external world, the more likely you are to be unhappy and full of despair. So get your house in order, get out there in the world and be curious about people and listen to people and enjoy the experience of people. That also means take responsibility, right? Take responsibility of what you're doing and your actions and everything. Take ultimate responsibility for sure. But for the most part, try and get out in the world and be curious to other people's experiences.
I like that. I was just saying, it's a good way to end it, but I got a few more questions and we'll wrap it up.